Okay, so I've noticed a lot of conversation taking place around Erica Kirk. She just took over Turning Point USA following the death of her husband, Charlie, and there are so many downright cruel and ignorant comments being made about her, and it genuinely makes me angry. And I've also noticed there's a TikTok trend going around where Gen Z women are celebrating her as an aspirational figure, a role model for young women. And they're saying in their captions on these videos, in a world wanting to be more like Taylor Swift, I want to be more like Erica Kirk. And there were, I just looked this up on TikTok, and there are so many videos of Gen Z women saying similar things. This other one says, in a Sabrina Carpenter world, I'd much rather be an Erica Kirk. Another one.
Do we want to show these videos, or do we want to let them play
Sure,
through?
yeah.
Okay.
This is a girl with her baby, and they have similar captions on all of these videos. A role model for women should be Erica Kirk, not Taylor Swift.
Here's the Sabrina Carpenter one.
Here is our difference. I would much rather listen to Erica Kirk than listen to a Taylor Swift song. And people are crashing out over this.
Please, gone.
People are losing their minds over over what they perceive to be hypocrisy in Erica Kirk's decision to take over Turning Point.
Okay.
They're saying that Erica Kirk is essentially a feminist icon because she waited until her 30s to get married and have kids and had a successful career beforehand, and still does. And especially now that she's taken on this huge responsibility of the CEO, that's in their minds hypocritical, despite the fact that she is allegedly being portrayed as the ultimate tradwife, right? So they're saying things like, in regard to Taylor Swift and Erica Kirk, they're both girl bosses who will have gotten married and had children in their 30s. Okay. This is not the principal difference they're drawing between Taylor Swift or Sabrina Carpenter and Erica Kirk.
Okay.
It actually has nothing to do with the age at which any of these women got married or will get married. Mind you, Taylor Swift is not married yet and does not have children yet.
I saw Selena Gomez might be getting married this weekend.
Yeah, she was like doing the whole like bachelorette thing. But it's really frustrating to see that feminists and anti-feminists alike have basically meme-ified women, where women can only be girl boss or tradwife,
and there's no in between,
and you have to pick a character. Okay, so
I've seen you have these discussions with people on X, right? About you were talking about whether there was hypocrisy with her message kind of running contrary to what her actual path in life was. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Right?
Yeah,
that was a very big discussion.
Right.
Hold, please.
And it's still going.
Yeah.
They're like saying, Erica Kirk's entire life is made possible by feminism because they have a totally ahistorical view of society.
Okay.
If you think that prior to the 1960s, women didn't work or contribute to their communities or weren't industrious and creative in a variety of ways, you just have no knowledge of history. That's not true. I don't think there's anything, like, maybe you could say a small subset of anonymous trolls on X would say the opposite, but for the most part, by and large, conservatives have nothing against women being well-read, cultured, educated, being creative, having made contributions to their larger community outside of just the domestic space. They have nothing against.
Well, they're the people who are criticizing it are looking at one aspect of it, which is like, it makes me think of when the Chiefs kicker was talking about, motherhood in his what was like a commencement speech or a graduation speech.
Harrison
Butker giving that speech about that, which is showing you one aspect of life for women that conservatives seem to value, which is motherhood, raising children, and kind of ignoring all the rest of it because those are the ones that get amplified. Those discussions get amplified. You'll find those speeches from most of the people in the conservative space, both men and women, which is, putting value on motherhood. And I think a large part of that is because very little of that is done elsewhere in not just the entertainment space, but in the political space. So I get where the criticism comes from, because if you only have like a small, if you're somebody who isn't in the space, you don't live in conservative circles, you don't follow a lot of these accounts, like you only see them on your For You page, right? As opposed to your main timeline. You're only going to see the ones that go super viral, and those are the clips that you're going to end up seeing. It's like if you have to look at it from the perspective of like, what does Harry Sisson's For You page look like? Where he gets the sporadic involvement from people on the opposite side of the aisle. He'll see the ones with the clips that go viral talking about how, motherhood is more important than than going into business, or Ben Shapiro talking about women giving up motherhood for the opportunity to make $60,000 a year making PowerPoint presentations. Those are the base level argument of a much deeper conversation. And the women that are criticizing this are the ones that have only ever seen those surface level takes from people on this side of the aisle.
Right. Well, I just think people are being too reductive.
Yes.
This is a take that I saw from friend of the show, Colonel Kurtz, as well. She was talking about Erica Kirk because this was like trending earlier in the week. But she said, let me find her original take so I don't misquote her, actually.
Okay.
Let me see.
Got it. And we love Colonel Kurtz here. But
yeah, I mean, I think she's a perfectly pleasant and intellectually honest person. I can't find her original take now.
No.
Maybe she took it down.
I don't know. But I know what you're talking about.
Okay, she said, despite the propaganda Charlie Kirk and his wife put out there, they, like many conservatives, didn't actually follow their own advice for women, and that's good. Erika didn't marry or have kids till her 30s. She's several years older than Charlie, despite Charlie saying that women in their 30s aren't generally as attractive to men and that women should marry young. I have no idea when Charlie ever said that women in their 30s aren't attractive to men. There was no source provided on that.
My guess is that the quote was something about like, generally men tend to grow into their appeal and women, are on a clock, which is very much a talking point.
Who knows exactly what he said? Erika focused on her education and career before kids. She has a master's in law and a PhD and spent over a decade in entrepreneurial work. And now, despite having complete financial security from donations and pledges, she is choosing not to focus solely on raising her children, but will now be the CEO and spokesperson for a political activist group. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, follow the Kirk's example, not the trad propaganda the right puts out there. And I pointed out, this is not the gotcha that Colonel Kurtz or anyone thinks it is. Because Charlie Kirk and his wife and many others are being approached for advice by the average young person today. Their advice is being solicited.
You always list Megyn Kelly as an example for this discussion.
Even saying that they're pushing propaganda isn't exactly the truth, because they're being solicited actively for advice by young people on a daily basis. And they have no context for who these people are asking for life advice. They're just going to assume that they fit the profile of the average person. And what we can say definitively is that Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly, and you could go down the list of examples, these are not average people. They're exceptional people. And I don't mean that that is an exception that disproves a rule. They're just going to dispense advice for the average person, and they're going to go on living their lives in an exceptional way because they're exceptional people. Okay, so Megyn Kelly being one example, has gotten so much backlash for telling women that, you know, they can have it all. They can have the booming career, and they can live in the swanky apartment, and they can dedicate their 20s to these pursuits outside of marriage and family, and they can still find a man who wants to commit to them and settle down with them and start a family with them. And my main response to that from Megyn Kelly is just, in Megyn Kelly's world, she's Megyn Kelly. So she just thinks that all women are Megyn Kelly, which is a misapprehension that she is under. She should probably take into consideration that she's exceptional,
I think
in
those are...
almost every way, in looks, in intelligence, in talent, and even sometimes happenstance, opportunities, luck, work ethic, etc. So she doesn't quite understand how exceptional she is, and then gives advice to other women, assuming that they could be like her when they can't, because they're average.
I mean, you're going to get people from different schools of thought about what type of person you should be if you're giving advice, right? They're, you know, your parents will say, do as I say, not as I do, because they want you to do better than them in a lot of ways, right? Like if you want to give your parents the benefit of the doubt, and you want to call out their hypocrisy when you do, when they, you know, scold you for doing something they did when they were kids, for instance, they're going to say, do as I say, not as I do, because I want what's best for you. Other people, especially if you don't have a personal connection with that, aren't going to take kindly to the idea of you giving advice that you yourself don't live in the real world. And it's just a matter of how closely do you look into the lives of the people who you take online advice from, which you really shouldn't be doing anyways, if you ask me. Look for your heroes in the real world, and they'll be able to give you advice more closely tailored to what your worldview is. That's just me personally. I get where both perspectives comes from in this one, but I think that I don't even think that this is, at first I thought this might be a gendered thing, where it was like men might look at how to take advice differently than women, but I don't really necessarily think of that as true. I don't see I see the hypocrisy that is being pointed out, but I agree with your perspective that, you know, I don't expect the people, you know, and we work in this space, right? Like I've met a lot of people who are truly exceptional that I just don't, like, I don't live the same life as they do. Like I'm never going to be that intelligent. I'm never going to be that well-spoken. I'm never going to be that oftentimes ambitious in a lot of ways. So when they're giving advice, it doesn't make the advice bad. It's just that I'm like, well, what do I have in common with this person? So I would probably take advice more readily from someone like an Erica Kirk than I would from, say, a Megyn Kelly. Does that, if I was a girl, I guess, because they're not giving advice to me.
If we're talking about like just the advice that Charlie Kirk gave to all of these college students who, I'll mention again, were going up to him and asking him for advice. Yeah, he told people to marry young, and he didn't do that. He married in his 30s, in his early 30s. So, but that doesn't make him a hypocrite. Like in the slightest.
Giving advice about something that would be statistically beneficial to you doesn't mean that. Also, you can learn from from not doing things.
Well, he also never said that he made a mistake by getting married at the age that he did, and I don't think he did. I don't think that's a mistake. I think he made very calculated decisions about those things in his life, and that doesn't make him a hypocrite to tell people to do something different, because they're different. They're not like him. He was better than them. Like, I know that's like really harsh to put it like that, but someone like Charlie Kirk, or even someone like Megyn Kelly, or someone like his wife Erika, they are better than the people they're giving advice to. So they're going to give advice that they don't follow. It just makes perfect sense to me. And then in regard to the people calling Erica Kirk a hypocrite for being critical of feminism, for advising young women to not needlessly delay milestones like marriage and family life, I think that's totally unfair, and it's super reductive to tell women that they have to choose between these two like meme personas of like a girl boss and a trad wife.
Yeah.
These people don't exist. They're archetypes. And Erika has shown that.
And Charlie Kirk was in his late 20s when he got married.
He was
27.
Was he 27?
Yeah. She was. I think she was.
She
in
was
her
in her
30s.
early 30s.
He was.
Okay.
He was in his late 20s.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But he got. Yeah, he got married in 2021, so that makes sense. But I'm just trying to point out that like sometimes life hits you like a ton of bricks, and like things happen where you need to rise to the occasion, and I feel like Erika has shown an incredible example of that. And we can only hope that we'll never be in a position like that.
Yeah.
Because how do we know that we would be able to respond accordingly?
If you want a non-gendered version of like the giving advice thing, one of the big ones from conservatives in the space is to tell you to not go to college, to go to trade school, you know, learn a skill and start doing that skill. Well, most of them, not all, but many of them have exceptional levels of education and are very, very intelligent. That doesn't necessarily make their advice bad. College is, in many ways, a debt trap that's designed to keep you subservient to the government and creditors for the rest of your life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they followed that path as well. Tim is an example of somebody who did follow that path, who didn't go to college, he's a high school dropout, right? He didn't take that path. But he's also exceptional in that case.
The feminists are making an incorrect assumption, to put it simply, that Erica Kirk is getting praised for being a tradwife that bakes pies and, you know, does laundry all day. Yeah. That's obviously not her life. And her supporters, these Gen Z women who are praising her, they know that. What they're praising about Erica Kirk has nothing to do with her tradwife bona fides. And it has nothing to do with her being a so-called girl boss either. So the comparison to Taylor Swift really irks me because the only similarity she has with Taylor Swift is that I guess both of them are exceptional people who ended up getting or will have gotten married, in Taylor Swift's case, in their 30s and had a successful career beforehand and after the fact. That's the only thing that those two women have in common. What women are differentiating between the two of them is that Erika, at least by all appearances, we don't know either of these people, by all appearances has displayed heroic virtue. And they're praising Erika for rising to the occasion in the face of this incredible tragedy in her life.
Yeah.
And I don't see why that has to be a gendered issue and why it needs to become like a debate about feminism, you know?
I agree.
I don't know. That feels really detached from the reality of the situation.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.